5 minutes.
Thank you, Chair and Ranking Member, for holding this important hearing this morning. I also want to thank the commissioners for their testimony. Artificial intelligence will lead to positive advancements. However, we also know that there are real concerns, especially as fraudsters and scammers are using AI tools to impersonate individuals, causing Americans to lose thousands of dollars. In fact, the FTC estimates that impersonation scams cost consumers more than $1 billion over the course of just last year. We must ensure that Americans are equipped with the necessary information to identify these scams, and our government agencies, like the Federal Trade Commission, have the necessary tools and resources. That is why I recently introduced the Protecting Seniors from Emergency Scams Act, which will help older adults identify scams before it's too late. Similarly, I am pleased that the FTC finalized the government and business impersonation rule, which gives the agency stronger tools to combat scammers who impersonate businesses or government agencies. And I appreciate that you have issued a supplemental notice on prohibiting individual impersonation because of rapid improvements on AI. Chair Khan, may you please discuss the genesis of the government and business impersonation rule and explain how it will help empower the FTC to handle such scams, and also tell us what the next steps are for the individual impersonation rulemaking.
Happy to. So unfortunately, despite vigorous enforcement by the FTC, these types of imposter scams remain quite prevalent. It's actually one of the biggest sources of fraud that we get reported from the public. And so you'll have, for example, somebody pretending to be an IRS agent and call up an unsuspecting victim, tell them that they owe thousands of dollars and risk arrest if they don't pay up. I mean, these are really awful scams that fall on people. And so we proposed a rule that would basically allow us to get money back for people who are defrauded from those scams. It would also unlock civil penalties. And I know there's been a lot of discussion about, should we just do lawsuits? Should we also do rulemaking? These things are actually deeply connected, because after the AMG decision, we are not able to get money back for people who are defrauded by these imposter scams. And so because we've done the rulemaking, now if we allege a rule violation, we will be able to get that money back. We'll also be able to levy civil penalties, which is incredibly important for deterrence. You need to make sure that the scammers can't profit from scamming, and that's what these rules will help us do.
Thanks so much. Commissioner Slaughter, would you like to add anything as it relates to the agency's work on mitigating scams?
Sure. I think it's a really important topic. I would note that in this rulemaking, we had very widespread support from the business community, because businesses suffer when they are impersonated to perpetrate fraud. And so it's an example of a rule that helps us utilize the statutory tools that we have. As Chair Khan said, we have a long enforcement record behind it. And what we had found is that case-by-case enforcement was not sending enough clarity to the markets about what conduct was illegal, and was not putting enough deterrent thumb on the scale to prohibit that conduct. So again, we can't go beyond practices that are unfair or deceptive, so barred by the FTC Act, and we can only address by rule those practices that were prevalent in the economy. And we had to do that after a very extensive, engaged, public participatory record process. But we're really proud of this rule and excited to make sure that we continue to adapt our enforcement efforts to the patterns that we're actually seeing in the marketplace.
Thank you so much. I'm also concerned about the American workforce, largely due to the emergence of AI, but also because industries are still recovering from the COVID pandemic. Simply put, we need to ensure our job market is strong and that both future employees and employers have the necessary resources to find the right fit. For the last couple of decades, as we've all witnessed the emergence of the internet, companies have revolutionized the recruitment industry by making user-generated resumes and professional profiles publicly accessible, creating an invaluable resource for employers and job seekers alike. Yet it is my understanding that companies are now taking aggressive actions to dominate the digital recruiting industry by putting these public professional profiles behind paywalls. I'm concerned that the consumers are seeking jobs and choose the option of making their information public would be surprised to learn that not all would-be employers can view their profiles, and that this move could also reduce competition in the recruitment industry and therefore have a negative impact on hiring activities across the country. Commissioner Khan, is this an issue that you and your staff are aware of? And is it something you can look further into? In 10 seconds. Oh, I'm over already.
As a general matter, we're very aware of how digital markets in particular can tip and result in more dominance and monopolization in ways that can harm competition. Happy to be in touch about the specific issue you raised.
Thank you, and I yield back.